from a love seat down to just a little seating area there. And I love this. This is a work in progress. I'm doing the artwork on it myself. I paint, draw, sculpt, do lots of multimedia. I'm kind of going through a multimedia phase right now, which I think you'll probably be able to see that. A little bit of a cussing phase with my cussing art. So this is like 6 layers, believe it or not. It took a lot of time to make this look really old, but I still have like 4 or 5 more layers to do. This is my little refrigerator. I recently upgraded. I got it at Lowe's. It's a Haier, H-A-I-E-R. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. But it gave me a lot more space. I have a little bitty freezer, which works surprisingly well. It's Energy Star. Really the only time it takes much energy to run this is when the compressor kicks on, and I can always tell if I'm boondocking. You can hear my generator amp up for a few seconds and then it drops back down. So surprisingly, this doesn't take much power. This microwave, my Dometic, is a power hog. It is the most power hog thing I have in my bust. This was already here. I don't use it that often. I've gotten really good at, learning how to switch my power around because everything has to be shut off when I run this, and it pulls the generator to full speed. But 2 minutes and I can have hot coffee. I do a pour over for my coffee, which is my absolute most favorite thing to do for coffee now. I'll never go back to a machine again. It's so flavorful. So I don't have a full kitchen setup, and my bus is not plumbed. I purposely have decided to wait because I like to get really creative in how I do plumbing and power, and I really want to do a rain catching system with black tubes running along the bus that gravity feeds down. I just haven't gotten there yet. So I haul my own water in. I haul my own water every day. I filter it. I have a little electric plate burner that I pull out. It's kind of buried in there, but it's just a little plate burner. It's electric. It was given to me. My dad wanted me to get propane. Honestly, I thought I would be doing a lot more cooking outside when I was boondocking, but I've been running into fire bans everywhere. So this has been a learning experience for me. I just started boondocking maybe 3 weeks ago, so it's been a huge learning curve on top of everything else I've been trying to learn. So I don't have any plumbing, but I actually don't mind it at all. I don't mind the work that I get from hauling water all the time. It's made me very aware of how much water I drink, how much water I use, and like I can take a shower. I kind of created my own little shower system, and I can take a shower on less than a half a gallon of water, and that's washing my hair, conditioning my hair, 2 rinses. So it's pretty cool how you can learn to adapt to things. I have storage. All of my food items are up here, and they're either always getting jostled around from the vibration of the road, or my cats love to open these doors and then they go in and wreak havoc and then jump out. That's an everyday occurrence. I travel with 3 cats. A lot of this, I started living in the bus, and I'm sure a lot of you that do this know what I mean. I'm constantly changing my storage, adding, and I really loved this shelving idea I came up with because it still lets the light in. And I love when I'm cooking in here, which I love to cook. And I also use my Instant Pot a lot, or actually it's an aroma pot. I love to cook with that. And I've never pressure cooked before, but I can make a roast, potatoes, carrots, and everything in 20 minutes from start to finish. I can make a pot of ham and beans in like 15 minutes. That's crazy.
That's
and
awesome.
It's so good. But again, that's not something I do boondocking because these are power hogs. So I could, but I've actually been able to adapt pretty well to just, like making sandwiches and, being aware of making food that you don't have to cook, like little salads and things like that. So I've been adapting pretty well to swinging back and forth. So that's why my kitchen's not fully set up. It's a work in progress. So one of the things I also love about this, and I really didn't know until I tested it, it's amazing to me when I was doing my research, people said, you can't, originally, my story how I even got to a bus is crazy. But it started with me wanting a tiny home, and I thought HGTV, you know, watching all the HGTV shows that you can just build a tiny home, hop in it, and travel everywhere. Well, you can't do that because of the vibration of the road, and it really is like you're going through mini earthquakes nonstop. So every time I stop, repairs. That's something I've gotten used to. And then how much damage vibration and rubbing can do, not only to your household items, but biggest preventative maintenance for your engine is get under there and wrap your wires and make sure they're not rubbing. Or your household wires, same thing. So I used to, when I would move, is I would flip these over, you know, move everything over to here because I was afraid they would slide. I do take all of my items up here off, but I've got some of this non-skid stuff, and surprisingly, and I've got 2 wrecks to testify this doesn't move. I've been in 2 wrecks over the last couple of weeks, and I couldn't believe this stuff stayed up there. So I already have that down. My spice racks were already built in, and they're wonderful. Like, they hold everything. I actually use my microwave a lot for storage too when I'm driving. These guys like to open up. This drawer busted, and that took me 2 hours to fix. Just a funny little story. My dad's a Special Forces veteran, and he did not want me to get this bus. And we had a lot of fights. I mean, some knockdown, drag-out fights. But when I finally brought it to him, and he helped me build a lot of this stuff, it was so awesome. It was everything I dreamed of. I get a little emotional because he's such a good man, and he's so talented, and he's very ill. He's 80. He has dialysis every other day. And he was like, this bus brought new life into me. And I was like, me too, Dad. So we've had a great time working on it together. But it's funny. He starts drinking about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And all of his buddies come over. And, of course, a bus is in town. And all of his buddies were coming over. And, oh, man, the ideas that we would have on stuff to do. But I would sometimes be working in the shop, and so when this fell apart and I had to put it back together, I could see what happy hour cabinetry looks like. I was like, I cannot believe how he rigged this up inside. And actually it was a good little system, but he had nail gunned it, and I ended up having to screw it because the nails came out. So this was built-in sofa. The cushions came from Urban Outfitter, and there's a lot of cushions like this. I have a love-hate affair with these cushions. They are pretty. They're very squishy. They're comfortable to sleep on, but they are heavy, surprisingly heavy. And, of course, keeping them clean. And then they keep squishing down to where they flop over this. And so sometimes when you're sitting, you just kind of start to slide out. But I haven't came up with an alternate plan. There is storage all underneath here, but I have to, as you can imagine, take the whole couch apart. So it's kind of an affair. A little trick I taught myself for you, those of you that have storage. When I'm packing these, I don't remember everything I put in them. So I take my camera and I take pictures as I'm going along, and I do it in layers. So the bottom layer, take a picture. Add another layer, take a picture. That saved me a lot of time when I'm looking for stuff. Also came up with a little trick for my beaded curtain. It kept falling and falling and falling, as do a lot of these. So I got a little bottle of wine, drank the wine, cut the little aluminum lid in half, and then secured it up here, and it makes an awesome little holder, and you can actually spin them around. And so that has been, and actually I'm going to do it to my others, but I don't drink very often, so I haven't had an occasion to buy any more wine. Another thing my dad and I added was storage here. The map wall was already here, and I loved it, so I've kept it. And another thing I like about it is I can always change this up. It's actually wallpaper. And so if I ever get tired of the map, I can put a more colorful map. There's amazingly a lot of map wallpaper out there. I've looked it up. Another thing about this was the cushions didn't quite fit. They actually had one of these big fat cushions, the previous owners, and they either had it on this end or that end, and it took up so much space. So I ended up building a little armrest, and then this is storage in here. A lot of my arts and crafts stuff is in there. And I am an artist, so I had to get very creative in how to store my space, which we'll see that when we go back in the bedroom. But I do love the map wall. I also incorporated a lot of things from my personal home, and things that were important to me instead of like pictures. A lot of the things have meaning. I made all my curtains, and like this was my mother's shower curtain, and I took care of my mom for 3 years. She had advanced Alzheimer's and she passed about a year ago. She was a big part of my reason I'm on this bus journey. So I just, when I look at that, it reminds me of her. I have lots of things that my sons have given me, and this bus truly is I had no clear-cut picture of how I wanted to decorate, or it just kind of all came together, and I absolutely love it. It's my favorite home I've ever had. This is actually all of my dishes and everything I cook with. And this is another area the cats like to go, and it does get jostled around a lot. This stuff here has been a huge help for me for covering things for vibrations and rubbing, and it does very much help your stuff from skidding, and you can get it for like less than, all different colors too, at Walmart for like $4. I've been trying a lot of different things. The doors have warped with the heat, so the magnets aren't really working. So what I do is inside I pack everything in such a way that I don't worry about it falling out until I come up with another solution. What I would like to do is flip these doors so that the knobs that they open like this, and the knobs are right here, and then I just put a rubber band around them, and that does really well. A lot of my stuff gets rubber banded to keep it from coming out while I'm traveling. So I'm still kind of figuring that one out. This is my most favorite part of the bus. I love driving the bus. By the way, it's a 1993 Bluebird, 5.9 diesel. It's a Cummins. It has an all-mechanical transmission. I had no idea when I bought it I was getting such a good engine. It has 142,000 miles, so the engine's barely broke in, and it honestly has been very sound. The reason I personally went with a school bus was because of the steel frame. In all my research when I was looking at RVs, and I spent like 6 months researching everything I could think of, and it still wasn't enough. Once I got on the road, I realized I didn't know crap. But it's so much fun to drive. It's the most fun I've ever had driving, which shocks me. There is no bells and whistles, and I could use a backup camera because I've taken out 3 poles and an air compressor machine so far, and I didn't even know it. That's how strong the bus is. But I bought it for the steel frame, for the safety of it going down the road, and also the safety when I'm parked. I've never once felt unsafe in all my boondocking, parking anywhere. In fact, I've had about every weird situation, breakdown, thing you can think of, and I meet the coolest people on the road that have stepped up to help me every time. So I don't fear that anymore. In fact, one of my latest, I haven't quite got this finished repaired, but a mouse crawled up and chewed the line that was here originally, and it was a flexible piece of tubing that came with this unit. This is my mini split air conditioner. I'll get to that in a minute. So it, of course, gathered up a lot of water until it started leaking all along this track, and then it was getting all into my electronics. So it took me a solid day just to track the leak down where it was coming from, and there wasn't an access hole, so I had to just drill like a bazillion holes and make one, and I'm going to make a little access cover for it. But it worked. I managed to get it fixed, and it works great. I am working on redoing this area here. You can't really see my dash. It's not anything special other than it's, for me, like a giant canvas that I can't wait to paint or do something with. It's pretty, just a piece of plywood that they lightly stained. These curtains I switch out depending on the heat. When it's really hot, sun coming in, I'll throw up this, but I have curtains that match. So I just kind of switch it around depending on what's going on. And this tracking system is very nice for being able to put things up here. I don't know what this is called, but these tracks, you can fully take it off. So when I travel, I just slide them off and I put them in my cubby hole right here. I've had a lot of people ask me about what I do for a litter box because I travel with 3 cats. And I was making it really hard on myself before I got in the bus, looking at all these elaborate self-cleaning litter systems and testing all kinds of litter, designing my own litter boxes. Could I train him to use the composting toilet with me? Like, I thought of everything. And what I ended up using is an 88-cent aluminum roasting pan from Walmart. It's oval shaped, and it fits perfectly on this bottom stair right here at nighttime. And then I shred all my own paper from my trash, and that's free. I mean, I can find trash anywhere, and I'm always shredding it. And that has been the best for us. So it's very low tech, very easy to clean up. The cats prefer to go outside anyway, so this only gets used when it's storming or it's very hot outside like it is now. This is my engine, and another thing people ask me about is if my cats run away or why do they not run away. I have a lot of people that are always amazed when I'm in campgrounds. If I feel safe enough for them to get out, I will let them get out. There's 3, and they stay, like they know the bus is home and safety. Underneath the bus is like their favorite playground. They've learned how to finagle their way up through the engine. If they can't get my attention to be let in from outside, they'll meow under here. I open up the hatch, they come out. It's pretty funny. My other favorite thing is this seat here. I wish I could tell you guys what kind it was. It came with the bus. The guy said it was like $1,000 seat. I believe it. It's air, and it absorbs every little bump. When I first started driving it, it would literally bounce me out of the seat like a ½ inch to an inch, and I would scream and laugh, and I still do that sometimes but it's just so comfortable, and it's adjustable in all different ways. If you're driving the bus all the time like me, invest in something that's very comfortable to sit in. Oh, my TV, I brought this from home. I have a little extension cord I run. I take it and lay it over here when I'm driving. I have a little digital antenna that I got from Walmart. I'll set it up here, or I'll set it on my dash. This was the middle of the line. I think it goes 50, maybe 75 miles. I think it's 50 though. I think it was maybe $19.99, and surprisingly, I can pick up a lot of local channels with that, and that's totally free. So I have to program, my TV each time, but like out here in this little spot, I think I get maybe 6 or 10 channels, so it doesn't cost anything. I used to Netflix and do all that, but it just takes up so much data on my phone. And even though it's unlimited, it gets capped at like 10, and then they throttle it down to 128, which is ridiculous. Honestly, I'm not a professional blogger. I don't try to brand myself in any way because I did that for 15 years. I was in marketing for 15 years, and I was a social media specialist for several, and I'm also an artist, a graphic designer, and web design. So a lot of people also ask me what I do for income. When I sold my home and everything I owned, which I did last October, I paid off my debts, and I was able to save up enough money to what I hoped would be travel for a year, but it's going faster than I thought it would. However, I just started boondocking about 3 weeks ago, and that dropped the prices considerably. I mean, I can literally camp for less than $5 a day, way less than that if it's beautiful weather. So this is another one of my favorite things. This is actual working little lamp. This is a quick timing light, I think, and these are car parts. I love little weird pieces like this from artists, and when it's plugged in, it makes a wonderful night light at night down here on the stairs. So I turn that on at night. This is my little record player, which I actually use quite a bit. I'm glad I brought it. Don't have it hooked up right now, but when I want something low tech that doesn't pull very many watts, I can plug this in and it barely runs my generator. So I read a lot, I listen to music a lot, I'm always outside. So that's why I'm not too worried about the phone anymore. Sometimes I do occasionally watch a movie on Netflix, and I can do that surprisingly well as well. This is my Fujitsu mini split. I'll show you the actual unit. Sits on my back deck. I actually really love this. It's heating and air. I'm just kind of learning how it works in the heat. It does surprisingly well. It's the 3rd highest rated amp pool on my bus. It takes 1100 to run this, and slightly more on the heater side. So I can run that with no problem with my generator and actually do other things as well. The only time I have to shut this off is if I'm using the microwave or my little hot plate. So, and it has a remote right here, which I didn't show you earlier. This is mounted next to my microwave, and you can run everything from the remote, which I can do, and it has all kinds of settings, and they even have an app that you can download, especially the newer units, and you can do a lot of the things that people like to do for temperature control, and it alerting you as far as your temperature dropping or the unit has shut off. I haven't felt a need to do that yet, but I do have that option, and it's got timers and everything, so I really, really, really enjoy it, and this did come with the bus as well. So okay, so now we're coming to the back end of my bus, which is my bathroom, art studio, and my bed. I had this was a shell back here, nothing, it was completely empty. I originally had like a Hollywood bed frame, but I found these, it took me a long time, but I found some old furniture and I just upcycled it and turned this into my base. They're actually nightstands. And then I painted it, and I built a secret tunnel back here for my kitty cats. And they each have their own little bed, and I actually have storage back there as well. And they just naturally, they have a little tunnel, they go back here and under, and that's where they go when I travel. And it's their favorite place to go during the day when they nap. Also, this I brought from my home. It was their old cat tree. Of course, it was huge and chunky, and my dad helped me cut it up, and we completely rebuilt it. And Master Chief, the old guy, he likes to lay up here when I'm driving down the road and watch out the windows. So there's, amazingly, all my clothes fit. I had a lot of fun doing this. I did everything real colorful, and that's one thing I've had a lot of fun with decorating, is doing it completely 100% for me, and how I want it. This is my computer desk, my office, and my art studio area. However, I do my art anywhere I feel like it. I don't hardly ever use this actually for art. But this wall here took me a while. I literally just, after like 3 months of going thrift store shopping and garage sales, looking specifically for pieces that I could build some kind of a wall here of storage, which I actually did, and I add to it all the time. And all my art supplies are in here, so it holds quite a bit. In fact, this one's completely empty. And then all my colored pencils are here. My dad helped me build this. Mostly all I do on the bus is draw and some painting, and then mixed media stuff. This is another one of my favorite pieces. It's kind of hard to see from there, but it's the back of a church pew. And I found it in a little thrift store, and I use that as my charging station. This is my bathroom. It's not much. My dad and I were looking at putting a shower in here, but I have decided to hold off on that as well. So it's my closet / bathroom. All I have is a Camco camping toilet where you put water and these little chemical things, but you don't even have to use the chemical things. There's lots of alternatives. It works okay. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It serves its purpose. You get very, intimate with your stuff, and, you do have to dump it. Like, for me, it's about once every 5 days or so. I can go. So it's, it's better than going outside in the middle of the night. So I don't complain. It's pretty easy to clean it. I do have a lot of space under here that's storage. A lot of that, though, will get put away. I'm kind of transitioning from winter type stuff to full-on summer. And so a lot of my stuff is getting packed away. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. This wall right here is actually movable, and I can take out screws and a couple of panels, and I can adjust this however I want. My dad and I actually may move it over here to fully butt up against this. if we decide to put a shower in here. I use every little piece of scrap of everything, which is something my dad taught me. This is all made of scraps, even the rope that I had. And I made a little cat scratching tree, which the cats love it. And then this was an old piece I got at a thrift store for like $1.99. I painted it up and turned it into a scratch pad for the cats. And then I hang a lot of my stuff here. And then this is my back door, and it leads out onto, and it's a mess, but I've been driving, so everything's packed. This leads out onto my back deck. And I guess we'll go outside and I'll tell you about that in a minute. However, one thing I do love about this is when the back door is open and the side door is open, it creates a beautiful breeze through here. And I have screen doors. This is also where my cats go in and out, and they know how to open this up. So if I want to really, really keep them in, I have to lock them in with the door. But they go in and out here. Like I said, they love to be outside as much as possible. And so I've got a screen, and it really does a good job of keeping the bugs out. So I keep my doors open a lot when I'm out boondocking and camping. This is my back deck. When I bought this bus, it, like I said, was partially already converted. The outside was done. They chopped, it's a 30-foot long bus, so this is about 10 feet. They chopped with laser plasma cutters, chopped the back end off. And they did leave a little hang, which he was supposed to send me this lip so I could install it, but he didn't, so I haven't figured out a way to cover that up yet. And my Fujitsu is on here, which I thought it might be really loud because I sleep right on the other side, but surprisingly, it's either I'm so tired I don't hear it, or I've just gotten used to it. It doesn't bother me at all. Even when I have my generator back here running, which is not that often, it's very quiet. There's very pleased with how soundproof the bus is and how well insulated it is. So the guy before me had, there's actually a hole cut in here, and this will hold an air hitch. And he had an air hitch here, and he pulled a fifth wheel, a 30-foot long fifth wheel behind the bus. And then he had his AT vehicles up here, and then the bedroom part was where he hauled his tools. I can't imagine having 60 foot hauling behind me, but that's what he did. And I've seen the videos, and the bus pulls it great. I would never need that kind of space, so I use it for, hauling my stuff. I would like to build storage boxes back here, and there's tons of room underneath this deck for storage. Either storage bins, I could mount my generator under there somehow, my water tanks. I don't want to mess with black tanks, so I'll probably do a composting toilet eventually, once I kind of figure out what I want to do with my plumbing. But I really, really love this little deck area. I do a lot of artwork. I shower back here a lot at night. I mostly shower outdoors, depending on where and what the regulations are for gray water. But even when I just use like a half a gallon of water to shower, it's easy to haul that back and dump it. So I shower out here almost every night. I sit out here a lot. Normally when I'm parked, this is completely cleared off, and I kind of set it up as my outdoor deck with my patio chairs. And I have broken down so many times. I go everywhere with my battery charger. That's another reason why I love also bringing my generator, which I'll tell you a little bit about my generator. I did a ton of research on what's out there. And so I can pretty much take care of breaking down on my own for like battery issues, fuel issues, the big things. This is my portable generator, and this will power my whole bus for everything I need. 2 gallons of fuel is what it holds. And that, if I'm using it has a capacity right here for efficiency mode, which I didn't know what that meant for a little while, but once I learned it, it was a game changer on how long it would last. If it's in efficiency mode, it'll run 15 hours on 2 gallons of gas. Now, efficiency mode goes out the window when you power your air conditioner. It pretty much runs at full speed, so of course that drops your runtime down considerably. One of the things I liked about this one is that it's 2200 and the runtime is 1800 watts. A lot of them that I was looking at was around 2,000, and it was about 200 less amps in runtime. Like the Predator, which is Harbor Freight's version. This one was the only one that I found. It was $549, and I love it. It runs great. So when it's in efficiency mode, what it does, and I leave it in that mode all the time, is I can do whatever I want to do inside. It makes the adjustments automatically. So I know that when I'm running my air conditioner, I can't run my microwave. I actually can because I've forgotten and I've done it. What it does is my microwave puts out almost nothing, and it just like, and you can, everything just kind of screeches and kind of goes, oh. So what it will do is, if I'm going to use my microwave, I will turn off my air conditioner. But if I have my air conditioner running and my refrigerator and I'm watching TV and my computer's on and I've got things plugged in, it adjusts itself. So when the compressor kicks on for the air conditioner, I can hear my generator ramp up. But the compressor's only on a few seconds, and then I can hear it drop back down. So it's really efficient, and it got really good ratings. And as most people know, these will run for hours and hours and hours. I did learn, I don't see that feature on this, but I did learn on the Hondas when I was looking at used ones. Everybody knows the Hondas have great run hours. For every 100 hours when you're starting up the generator, it'll have a light that flashes. For every time it flashes, that's 100 hours of runtime. So if you are looking at buying generators, that seems to be fairly common. You can check how many hours are powered on it if you're thinking about buying used. This one can also parallel. I can get another one, and they have a parallel kit, and that doubles. So then I would be able to run 3,600 watts. But I don't need that. So I'm really glad I didn't. I almost, dropped a whole grand for that setup. And I decided to just get one to learn it. And I'm so glad I did, because this is all I need for my bus. Amazon, 2-day shipping free if you're a Prime member. However, I did have a very difficult time trying to find the parallel cord, which is part of the reason why I didn't go ahead and get two. However, if I ever do want to amp things up, I can always add on. And you can do that with quite a few of the generators out there, the portables. That's something new I learned about. Even to this day, that cord, parallel cord, is completely out of stock, even with Westinghouse. So it worked out good anyway. I'm glad I took went ahead and got it. I love how it runs, and it's been great for letting me boondock for almost nothing every day. So it has a gas vent here, which I always leave on, but I've learned how important it is that you have vents for all your fuel with heat. But it's so easy to start this. You flip it on, you pull the choke. Sometimes I have to adjust it. Then I put it in. The red indicator light will go to green, and that means it's ready to plug in. And this is running my entire bus off of a 110 system, as you can see. But you can get the cords and switch it up. But my bus does well with the 110. When I'm hooked up to shore power, I use my 30 amp or my 50 amp. But this bus runs on all different variations, which is very nice. Another feature on this bus I like is I have a light bar here, a light bar on the front, and a light bar on this side. And when I'm driving down the road, I can flip these on, or when I'm parked at night, I can flip these on for a safety feature. If I hear something, it shoots out 100 yards of light, a very nice ring of light around the bus. So that is a feature I like. My gas tank was moved. That was another one of the hard lessons I got to learn. When I was driving this back from North Carolina home, I ran out of fuel. That's also when I learned how to say fuel and not gas or diesel. I'm still learning that, but when I ran out, I kept saying I ran out of gas. And I'm calling saying, bring me gas. And they're like, is this a gas bus or a diesel? And I was like, diesel. And they're like, stop mixing it up. So I've learned that. But my fuel tank was moved, and so my gauge is wrong, and I ran out of fuel driving it home like 200 miles before Memphis. That was a very scary experience, but I've never made that mistake again. And then my batteries here. I've got new tires on the front. These tires are expensive. And something else I learned, some of your rims have oil in them, and you need to check the oil in your front rims and make sure you know what kind it is. It's pretty easy to see if it has it. These were $4.50 each installed. That was with new stems, but it was worth it for the safety. Well, that pretty much concludes my bus tour. Again, I'm Jenny. This is Kismet, my bus, and I do have a Facebook page called Sinners, Saints, and Skoolies. That'll be in the links below, and you can follow me and my adventures. I post every so often. I'm not a blogger or anything like that. Just, follow my mishaps and adventures. Thanks for coming along today.